This is Jets at Noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Welcome to the show. Game day, Jets, Oilers. Everybody gets excited for these. Pre-game at 6, puck drop at 8 here on 680 CJOB. No Jim Toth. He's off this week. Tyson Wicky's back. Hey, Tyson.
Cam, I'm pumped up for tonight's game.
Yeah. You know what? I'm really pumped up now because the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, was on the ice. I've never seen somebody skate like that.
Is he suiting up tonight?
I think he is. Like, I just saw him. He just tapped Connor McDavid. Like, this is being live streamed on X right now. He just tapped Connor McDavid on the shin. And he's like, let's go. Let's race.
I mean, you mentioned it seems like Leon Draisaitl is going to be doubtful.
Yeah.
Is that where, are we going to see a replacement?
Well, I think he
Leon
can play
Draisaitl?
center, man, because he's hitting water bottles off the top of the net, just snipe after snipe after snipe.
Instead of an A, he's going to have a PM on his jersey. That's
wow. This guy's something. I mean, he can skate.
That's going to help him. That's going to help him in the election. We might have to touch on that a little bit later on.
A guy can skate. I think someone's got to sign him. He's looking great out there. He's looking fantastic. Prime Minister. Well, looks great in that jersey, too. Is Carney on the back?
I think he'd look better in a Jets jersey, though.
I don't know about that. I'd have to see him in one, and I could tell you.
Maybe the Heritage. Definitely the Heritage. I mean, you could make a pig look good in the Heritage jersey.
Yeah. Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line. Win a VIP car wash from my good friends at Wash Method, 204-780-6868. Just set Carney up on the blue line just for clappers on the power play.
Do you remember that?
Just set him up for one.
Do you remember that?
He's got the shot. I'm watching it right. He's got the shot.
Do you remember that PK Subban commercial where he would he'd show his backwards crossovers and just he's going insane? Like I could imagine Mark Carney kind of giving that.
Well,
kind of
I think this is just coming down on X. I don't know who's reporting this, but like he's demanding man makers out there, back and forths, line to line.
He's Torts.
Wow.
He's John Tortorella.
He's crazy, man. He's crazy. Man, that guy is his prime minister is something else. Edmonton Oilers tonight. These are always exciting games. Brendan Escott's going to be joining us. He is the host of Inside Hockey on CHED 880. He's going to be joining us right after 12:30 to discuss the game tonight. As you said, I mean, it sounds like Leon Draisaitl is going to be doubtful for tonight's game, so that's a big blow. They have had some people return from injury over the last little bit. We'll get into that with him as well. The Oilers starting to bounce back from what was a real tough bout coming out of the Four Nations face-up. They're starting to put together wins, coming off a 7-1 win over Utah on Tuesday. As well, we got to talk about the gaffe last night in Toronto.
Oh, boy.
Kelly Sutherland, referee, head first. He's going for the... I don't know what happened, but we'll touch on that. And the decentralized draft, which was a big talk. It's going to save NHL. They don't want to be doing all that running around. Well, it might be short-lived.
Of course.
They might be having buyer's remorse on this. I'll tell you why as the show goes on. But tonight, I know the Winnipeg Jets, when this is the second time these two teams have played, they could eventually, a lot of things have to go right or wrong, depending on how you look at things, play in the Western Conference Final. They're both Oilers going to be the Pacific. Winnipeg's going to be in the Central, right? Do you fear the Edmonton Oilers, Tyson Nowicki? Is this a team that, if push came to shove, and you never would take them lightly? There's no doubt about that. But would you think, I don't think the Jets can beat the Oilers. And maybe that's stuff from the 80s still bubbling up into the surface, has been imprinted on me. You know, I wasn't even born in the 80s, and I still feel that. I still feel the past woes and the struggles against the Oilers. It's my dad and my uncles made sure I feel that one. They passed that trauma onto me as well. But what do you think about that?
This Oilers team is a little bit, I mean, for the most part, they're pretty similar to the team that they had last year. You know, they added Jake Wallman at the deadline this year. That's a pretty solid add that, San Jose made out really great on that. They got a second round pick with Jake Wallman to take him on from Detroit and then flip him for a first just about 6 months later. The one thing about this Oilers team is, and this is always going to be a concern with the Oilers, even the past couple of years, but it's goaltending.
Yeah.
And Stuart Skinner, I mean, he looked great last year in the playoffs at times. This season, though, it has been a really, really tough season for Stuart Skinner. He's sitting at an .897 save percentage right now with a goals against average just a little bit over 2.8. And those numbers kind of don't go together, right? Like if you're at an .897 save percentage, you're kind of expecting your goaltender to be to have his goals against average be a little bit higher too, like sitting around that 3 mark. But that kind of shows you that the Oilers, they do play good team defense. They've been better defensively than they have been in years past. But the goaltending is just the ultimate question mark.
Yeah.
And they did nothing to address those problems at all. Like you still have Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard as well. If that's going to be the biggest thing for Edmonton going into this, and their depth again. It really is. I don't see much threat from their bottom 6 and how it's good. The Oilers, they go as Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl go. And last year, Connor McDavid went on a historical run and he won the Conn Smythe and one of the best playoff runs in NHL history. And they still didn't win the cup.
Yeah.
Like it took a monumental playoff run from Connor McDavid for them to just lose in 7 games. I think if there's a little bit of luck that goes against the Oilers, I think they're going to be out maybe even second round.
What do you think has to go right for them?
Well,
outside of McDavid and all that sort of thing.
Their depth scoring needs to help out and chip in a little bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, last year with Matthias Janmark, he had a really solid playoffs. The guys that they're relying on are getting a little bit older, though, like Corey Perry, Adam Henrique, even Matthias Janmark as well. You don't have the guys like Dylan Holloway on this team anymore who could provide that little speed that this Oilers team so desperately needs in their bottom 6. You look at guys, they added Vasily Podkolzin, and yeah, he plays a hard-nosed style of game, but he's not scaring me when he's out there on the ice in the offensive zone. It's just, if you can mitigate how much Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl impact the game, I think this is one of, and you have a playbook on them now too, right? Like there's a little bit more tape out there, and then there's a little bit more focus that, hey, I know it's easier said than done to stop McDavid, but man, there's a lot of weak points in this Oilers team this year.
Yeah, Draisaitl is over 100 points now. He's got 49 goals. He's definitely going to hit 50. It's doubtful for tonight, so it's likely not going to be tonight. But you still got Connor McDavid, 89 points. But there's a significant drop off. I mean, after you get Evan Bouchard off, who's got 54, right? I'd like to know how many of those are on the power play. Maybe I'll pull that stat up in the next little bit here. But after that, I mean, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, 45 points. Zach Hyman, 40 points. There just is, I mean, you got to go past that to find another forward with 24 points. It's Connor Brown. And then you contrast that with the Jets. Cal Connor, 85. Mark Scheifele, 75. Gabriel Velarde, 61. Ehlers, 58. Perfetti, 42. Nemestikov, 34. Niederreiter, 30. Adam Lowry's got 29 points, right? I mean, when you talk about depth, I mean, it's top heavy. And this is just, I feel like the Oilers are just, this is their curse.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to have Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid on your team, you're just going to struggle to find that sort of, those other elements to pitch in, those other ingredients to help you get to the next level here. And hey, listen, it got him to Game 7 last year in the Stanley Cup Final, but I don't know, is this a different team? I mean, it seems like there's more question marks. I want to ask Brendan Escott this. But do you feel like there's to me definitely more question marks? I'm not as confident about an Oilers run this year as I was last.
Well, and I wanted to mention on Evan Bouchard there too. He's a great offensive defenseman. He has great puck skills, great passing ability. I think this year a lot of teams have really keyed on the fact that he skates around the ice like it's just a Monday morning skate. He is really as nonchalant as they come. And I look back to that Game 7 against the Panthers last year, where you look at the intensity from 95% of the lineups on both sides, and Evan Bouchard, his intensity is just not there. Like he's there to score, to hammer pucks from the blue line on the power play and make nice passes. And yeah, those are some great attributes. But come playoff time, there's going to be teams have really keyed in on him. You start to see more teams dumping the puck to his side of the ice and getting a hard forecheck in because he's just so lackadaisical.
21 of his 54 points have come on the power play. So and listen, that's going to come. I mean, that's going to come. I mean, the Winnipeg Jets have they have players with lots of players on the power play. When you score that many goals, that's just going to happen there. But it's just, the 5-on-5 scoring isn't coming. Right. And Kelly Moore did this actually. He did a real deep dive into this. And and looked at the Oilers' first unit versus the second unit. And the second unit almost has no points, but because they're only out there for like 15, 20 seconds at the very end just to throw them out there, like to play defense or try to get momentum going after the fact. So they put their horses out. If they can't get it, then essentially you have to kill against the Oilers a minute and a half to minute 40 second, minute and a half to minute and 40 second power play. Because when the second unit comes out, you just know that there's not going to be anything really coming at you.
Well, that's fair because Chris Knobloch realizes that I have a better chance of scoring with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl being out on the ice for a minute and a half, a whistle, and then putting them back out there for the last 30 seconds than whoever we're going to toss out on the second unit, right? Like, it's just, even you look at Tyson Barrie, a guy that played for the Oilers and put up over 70 points. I don't think anyone's, like, don't get me wrong, he was a great puck-moving defenseman when he was in his prime and just a little bit outside of his prime. But no one's kind of mistaking him for being a top 10 or top 15 player in the NHL, and that, or defenseman in the NHL. And that's why Evan Bouchard also wasn't on Team Canada. Like, there's some serious concerns there. And I just don't know it's a lot of hockey that they've played over the last little bit too. And you just hope that, for the league's sake, maybe not for Jets fans' sake. I think Jets fans are A-okay with them getting knocked out in the first round. But you almost start to wonder. And there's been times this year where you see McDavid and you're like, seems like he's still great.
Yeah.
But it seems like he's kind of either nursing something or, it's just the game's not coming as easily as it has in years past. And when it's the LeBron factor, right? Like, once LeBron ended up going to Miami and started getting fouled more, and like, he was still dominant. But it's different. It's just a completely different league.
Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line to win a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method, 204-780-6868. Couple text messages here we'll squeeze on, and then we'll go to break. Kevin says, I always fear the Oilers, 80s PTSD. And Dom says, Oilers are a little slower and older compared to last year. Losing Holloway and McLeod had some depth. But when you have Dry and McDavid, always have to be worried, playoff performers. Let's take a break. Let's come back on the other side. This is a situation as a referee you never want to be in. And I think his face was red as a beet, and rightfully so.
I feel bad for laughing.
I feel bad. Listen, if you're an Avs fan, you're not laughing. No. I'd be ticked off. But I feel bad for the guy. We'll talk about this after this.
At noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Well, it's an unfortunate way to score a game-winning goal, but if you're Steve Lawrence, I mean, this is just icing on the cake. Referee Kelly Sutherland unintentionally tripped over his feet and fell headfirst right into the puck on a clearing attempt. It goes right to Lawrence, who gains control, goes high shot over the shoulder of Blackwood. That's the game winner. Leafs win 2-1. Everyone else in the league can laugh at it, including me, except for Avs fans. But I got to say, first of all, I feel bad for Sutherland. Like, that's terrible for him.
Yes.
Just a mistake. And also make a save, Blackwood, bad. Like, you got to stop that puck.
Really far side, high glove on an angle. Like, that's, and I feel bad.
I think Lawrence was just trying to create a rebound. That's what I think he was trying to do. Yeah.
And I feel bad for Sutherland too, but it's just the kind of torpedoed into the puck a little bit. Hey? Like, it was a little bit of a dolphin dive right into the puck. And hey, as long as it's not a playoff game, I think it's kind of no harm, no foul.
Brendan Escott, host of Inside Sports, we're going to talk to him. How does he feel? Where does he feel the Oilers are right now? Better or worse than last year? We'll ask him that when we come back. Jets at Noon brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line. Win themselves a VIP car wash from our good buddies at Wash Method, 204-780-6868. 204-780-6868. Hey, we're still waiting for the Jets morning skate is scheduled to start now. So we kind of await some news. I'm interested to see that third line and if we're going to see Alex Iafallo with Adam Lowry and Brandon Tanev. So keep an eye out for that. We'll get that information for you as soon as it comes out. Download the Jets at Noon podcast free now on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you find your favorite podcasts, with exclusive Jets talk and content only found there. And take Jets at Noon wherever you go and continue the conversation whenever you want. Jets, Oilers, pregame at 6, puck drop at 8 here on 680 CJOB. And to help us break down the matchup, Brendan Escott, host of Inside Sports on CHED 880, is joining us. Hey, Brendan, how are you?
I'm good, Cam. Thanks for having me on today.
Good. We got Tyson Nowicki with us too as well. So the Oilers coming out of the Four Nations face-off struggled. There's no question about that. They bounced back, culminating with a 7-1 win over the Utah Hockey Club last night. What's led to this sort of return to what people expect from the Edmonton Oilers?
Well, they've cut the goals against down big time. That is where they struggled the most. Coming out of that break, it just wasn't good enough defensively. It wasn't good enough in the crease, and there was, a lot of layers to that. And I think that we've seen the team really clamp down defensively and start to get a lot better goaltending, right? And when you're doing that, you're getting puck possession and you are able to dominate in a way that we saw them against the Utah Hockey Club return to their truest form and probably some of their best form that we've seen all season long. So, yeah, they go from losing 6 of 7 games, guys, to winning now 3 in a row. And it's amazing how quickly in this marketplace the sky will stop falling, and we're all reminded that indeed they're still in the hunt for the Pacific Division title. So,
well, Brendan,
home ice to them means a lot. Home ice means a lot, and this is a big game obviously coming up.
Brendan, nothing's different here. They lost 6-2 to the Canucks, and you should have seen some people's reaction that they're going to be out and they're going to get swept in the first round here, the Jets, and so
Lost the room.
He's lost the room. Canadian hockey market. It's a beautiful thing.
Brandon, just about you kind of mentioned the goaltending woes there, and obviously the Oilers are pretty comfortable with Stuart Skinner in net. Otherwise, there probably would have been a trade made at the deadline. But how valid are some of the concerns around Stuart Skinner this year as opposed to last year?
Well, because he's 26 years old now, Tyson, you think that he would be able to take a step forward. And what we've seen really is, if not a regression, he's sort of stayed the same here. And unfortunately, when the team isn't playing bang up in front of them, they're coming up a save short in a lot of games. And for the confidence level of this fan base, you've got to be even coming within 1 or 2 shots of a Stanley Cup championship wasn't enough to really solidify him, unfortunately, as this team's bona fide starter. But again, you look at a sub 900 save percentage, and you understand that when this team gets a 900 save percentage or better, they're like 31-4 on the season, something to that effect. So it's really indicative of not needing Skinner to be excellent, just needing him to be average. And because he's fallen below that mark on several occasions this year, I understand why the fans are frustrated. I think it would have done him a lot of good in a sense too to be selected for that Team Canada for the Four Nations face-off. But ultimately, in the first half of the season, I don't know that he earned that selection. So they're hoping that he can piece it together down the stretch here. As I say, they're competing for home ice.
Draisaitl, I know that he's doubtful to play tonight against the Winnipeg Jets. There's a push here in town for Connor Hellebuyck to win the Hart Trophy. Similar in Edmonton for Draisaitl?
Absolutely. It's funny how...
Sell me why Draisaitl should win more than Connor Hellebuyck. Sell me on that.
Tell you on the fact that he has had to carry a lot heavier a portion of the mail this year than a lot of people would give credit for. Like, if you're not watching this team on a nightly basis, I think a lot of the perception is that most of the offense is generated with Connor McDavid flying up the ice and setting up Draisaitl for a one-timer. That happens on the power play, but you've got to remember that Draisaitl's 5-on-5 production this year has been spectacular. Like, we're talking about 49 goals. The next closest guy has 38. So he's been getting it done all over the ice. And his 5-on-5 partners, this is where I'm going with this, have been Victor Arvidsson and Vasily Podkolzin for a lot of the year. And those guys have 8 and 10 goals respectively, playing with a player that has 101 points. So Draisaitl, for all intents and purposes, has been doing and generating a lot of this by himself on a year where Connor McDavid has been mortal. He's been human. He's sitting with 89 points, significantly behind his teammate in that race. So I don't know whether McDavid's been dealing with an injury, but what I do know is Leon Draisaitl has carried this team as far as it's gone this year, and I think that the shadow cast by his teammate is still one great enough that we might see a different MVP winner this year as well.
Okay, I'll give you 25%, Brennan. I'll give you 25%.
What's kind of been the problem though
points.
with Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson? You know, like they were obviously brought in the offseason to kind of give the Oilers a little bit more scoring depth there, and we've seen in the past guys like Pat Maroon and Milan Lucic and Zach Kassian be able to be 20 goal scorers on those lines. But what's kind of gone wrong for Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson this year?
You know, in the case of Skinner, I think that the Edmonton Oilers play a very north-south game when they're at their best, and Skinner is a little bit more of an east-west player, so it just seemed the chemistry wasn't there the way that they had originally imagined it. And you can see his hands working in tight in and around the goal a lot of the time. But when he's forced into a boards battle, guys, you can see where Jeff Skinner's definitely at a deficit. So I wasn't overly optimistic about that one out of the gate. I thought if these two could combine for, say, 50 goals, which now seems silly to think about, that we would have been in great shape for those free agent signings back on July 1st. But in reality, they just haven't been getting enough push from these players that were signed to a lot of money. And then in this marketplace, everybody's smart enough to be looking at what Dylan Holloway and Ryan McLeod are doing and saying, well, we're not getting enough juice out of these guys, and they're not very hard to play against right now. Meantime, you've got 6'3" and 6'2" working well in other markets. This stings. This stings a lot. So we'll see if Arvidsson can be difficult to play against in a playoff setting. I think that's more tailored to his game. I'm worried about the effectiveness of Jeff Skinner, though he is getting an extended look on the top line and will play there again tonight alongside McDavid and Hyman.
Mattias Ekholm is back too. How does the team play differently with him on the ice?
Well, it certainly, I'll tell you what, the defensive mix with him and Wallman in the lineup looks very nice. It gives you basically 5 guys that can go 20 minutes a night when you factor in Kulak as well. But Ekholm he's just a warrior. The shot blocking, the way he's able to bust a cycle up, he can clear the front of the net. And most importantly of all, and I know that this was more so the case last year than this year because I think that this pairing had struggled a little more this year, but he's the defensive conscience of Evan Bouchard. So you get that top pairing and you get Bouchard eliminating the silly turnovers. And it's legitimately one of the top pairings in the league, but you need the defensive barometer there, and he is exactly that. Then you get him factoring in on the score sheet, and he can surprise you with a 3-point night every now and again. Not very often, but he can factor in offensively too. He's up to double-digit goals now on the season.
And what kind of juice does this Oilers team have that can potentially push them over the hump and win that Stanley Cup, as opposed to the team that from last year that just missed out on the Stanley Cup?
Well, what I'm hoping is your stars have to be your stars, and I think that what we've seen is regression to the norm for a guy like Zach Hyman coming off of a season where he led all goal scorers, maybe but for Sam Reinhart. I'd have to double check on that. By the time the playoffs were over last year, he has not been that same kind of guy. So even some of their higher profile players are going to have to take their game another level. They've proven that they can do that, and what I'm really hoping for is that it seems like since game 1, they've really been waiting for game 83 here. It's a long regular season. It's a long journey through the playoffs, that 2 months to get to where they really want to be. And I think that's why we've seen them fall victim not only to the start to this season, which you guys know well with that 6-0 victory on home ice, but also to some of the slumps and the dog days of the season as well. So I think, you get the Stars performing like the Stars. You add in, hopefully, in Evander Kane in whatever capacity he can contribute, even if that's on the fourth line, bringing a dimension that Kasperi Kapanen cannot. And you got Trent Frederick at the trade deadline. I'm very excited to see what he can do to change the mix. And again, I say make this team harder to play against, because I think that they get pushed around a little bit too easily right now. And they've built in a way to have that not be the case. We just haven't had the opportunity to see it yet because Frederick's been hurt.
Brendan Escott, host of Inside Sports on Ched 880. Brendan, thanks so much. Really appreciate the time. And I have to agree that Game 83, I mean, it's been the same here in Winnipeg. I mean, it's the Winnipeg Jets trying to prove that 5-game exit against the Colorado Avalanche wasn't them. And they haven't been able, we have to wait. We got to wait for the first round to see if they're able to do that. Brendan, thanks so much. You take care, okay? Enjoy the game tonight.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks, Cam. Thanks, Tyson.
Thanks, Brendan.
204-780-6868, 204-780-6868. I mean, what do you think about tonight's game? I think definitely the Oilers have, and listen, these are both playoff-bound teams. The Oilers are still trying to track down Vegas to get first in the Pacific. Brendan just talked about that, how important getting home ice is for this team. I mean, they remember Game 7. They would have liked to have been on home ice for that game. And they come up short against the Florida Panthers, but they got a lot more. There's a lot more riding on this game for them than it is for the Jets,
especially with the line matching capabilities when you do have home ice, right? Like we've seen so many times with this Jets team, just how Adam Lowry has caused McDavid and Draisaitl fits. Like I don't think that there's a single team in the NHL that Connor McDavid gets more visibly frustrated against than the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah.
And that stems back to the COVID year where they played they faced each other in the playoffs.
Neil Pionk. Neil Pionk loves playing against. He's of course he's out.
Dylan DeMello has kind of picked up that mantle a little bit in the last few years, but that's a matchup I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Oilers kind of manage that, because like I said, over the past few years, they've had his number. I guess McDavid's still going to produce. He's going to produce against most teams in the NHL. But just the visible frustration there, I'm really intrigued to see how that all plays out tonight.
This just coming down the pipe from the NHL Morning Skate, which is underway in Edmonton, from Mike McIntyre with the Free Press there. Line rushes in D. Here you go. Connor Scheifele, Velarde, Ehlers, Domestikov, Perfetti, Niederreiter, Lowry, Appleton, Tanev, Barron, and Iafallo. Back to the way it was to start against the Canucks. On defense, Morrissey, DeMello, Sandberg, Schenn, Fleury, Miller still out there. What do you think about that? Is that a mistake to go back to the way things were? Back to the way that, and back to the team and the lines that got you to first place in the Western Conference?
I don't mind it as long as I think that they have to have a short leash though, because Nino and Mason Appleton, they had a really, really poor first period against Vancouver. Really, really poor. And we've seen over the last little bit now too, they're struggling offensively as well. Like there's not too much being generated offensively from that line, and maybe you just got to get a different look. I like the way that that line looked when they did make the switch, with Tanev taking over on that side and Alex Iafallo being there on the other. I mean, look at that goal that they scored. That goal was just purely off of hard work from Brandon Tanev, forcing the turnover from Elias Pettersson, and then just mucking it up in front of the net, right? Like it's just a little bit of a different element. Nino and Appleton do those things as well, but with Tanev and Iafallo, I just feel like there's a little bit more energy, a little bit more kind of tenacity, whereas Nino, Appleton not as much. There's a little bit more finesse and skill there.
Yeah, I think Scott O'Neill sent a message saying, hey, we need more from you guys, but he's also showing confidence in them by going back to what's worked. Let's take a break. Let's come back on the other side. Is there buyer's remorse for the decentralized draft?
There's always buyer's remorse with the NHL.
This is actually, I don't know, is it silly? I don't think you can describe this as silly, but it's like there was this quick of like, there was a lot of things. Like, obviously, I think it's safe to say this wasn't thought through entirely.
Oh.
It was just like, we're tired of going there. Oh, but now we got to do this. We'll get into it right when we come back. Well, we got to give away a car wash from our good friends at Wash Method, 204-780-6860. I'll give it to Kevin. Kevin says, what will Sandberg's next contract look like? We'll start with a 6 or a 7. Thanks. It's not going to be more than Josh Morrissey. I think it'll be a 6. I think it will be 6.
I'm really hoping
if they can lock him down to 7 or 8, it'll be a 6.
I'm hoping that we see an 8-year deal worth $6 million, because I think by next year he's outplaying that contract. It's just smart business by Chevy.
Yeah, congratulations, Kevin. You got that VIP car wash from my good friends at Wash Method. Okay, NHL's move to decentralized could be short-lived. Months away from the NHL's draft, it's hosting its first non-COVID season decentralized draft, and it's possible it will be the last of its kind. The Jets will be getting the draft, by the way, when Sutton Place, the hotel downtown, is finished. That's been confirmed. Gary Bettman said it. Mark Chipman said it. The draft will come here eventually once there is some more downtown hotel space. That's the one thing holding things up. But as NHL Chief Content Officer and President of Events, Steve Mayer said Wednesday, 26 of 32 general managers initially voted to keep themselves and their teams at their respective home bases for the draft. But many of them in attendance at the 3 meetings held at the Palm Beach Resort and Spa this week have expressed the realization that whatever financial savings they thought were going to be gained by not having to be on location for the draft have largely been offset by costs of hosting their staff in their own respective cities. So it's been it's been essentially a failure.
They wanted to do the Sphere. That was the big decentralized one. And it seems like they did, and they're like, ooh, this is a little bit harder than we thought.
Yeah.
I'm all for, getting out of things before you get too far deep. But come on, NHL, give it a chance. We barely even saw it go. Didn't even go 5 years, right? It was just
no.
Oh, you know what? Let's switch it up. Whatever. Let's go back now.
Well, it's like you didn't think it through. You didn't think. Well, we still have to bring everybody to where we're coming from, and it's not saving us anything.
Those GMs 100% were the ones who were just like, well, I get to chill out at home.
Yeah,
don't have to go too far. This sounds awesome.
Yeah, now it's like, no, but it's costing. It's like, oh. Anyways, Tyson Rowicki will bring you all the way until 2 o'clock. Jets, Oilers, 6 o'clock pregame show. Puck drop at 8. Tune in here on 680 CJOB with Kelly Moore and crew. See ya.